Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
Studies suggest the classroom environment can have a huge influence on a child's academic achievement. We explore some of that research and visit some extraordinary schools that are defying traditional design. An oddly shaped, seemingly endless playground and trees that grow through classrooms. This preschool in Japan would seem more at home in a children's book. But why bother creating such an elaborate environment? Let's take a look.
A unique circular building houses one of Japan's biggest nursery schools with about 600 children. But the unusual shape is more than just a daring architectural adventure by world-renowned Japanese architect Takahiro Tezuka. It's designed to fulfill the need for doing the same thing over and over again, through which children investigate the world. The roof serves as a running track and as a place to interact with the trees growing from below. While safety is a priority, they learn about the risks of growing up.
The ground looks flat, but we actually made it bumpy. If children run there, they may fall. But that's okay. When they fall once, humans learn how not to fall the next time. This way they become strong and better equipped for life.
Sit down, sit down, sit down, okay. Kneel down, kneel down, kneel down, okay. Lie down, lie down.
The kids learn with native English teachers.
Top.
The roof also has a slide, reinforcing the building's circular aspect.
There is a sense of openness, and children play every day with no worries. They don't have any stress. They are growing unrestrained.
With no internal walls, the children hear the noises from neighbouring classes, helping them hone their concentration skills. But sometimes distraction is inevitable. Contact with live animals is part of the learning process. The children get to ride the ponies on their birthdays, but today it's the turtle that's the centre of attention.
I sometimes have the opportunity to talk to colleagues in other kindergartens, and they are really surprised. They sometimes ask me, "Is that really a kindergarten?" Fuji Kindergarten is the only place I have worked, and for me, I think the environment is the most appropriate for children. I cannot think of working in any other place.
After the kids have gone, the teachers prepare for the next day in a building designed to enhance the quest for knowledge.
What role do trees, plants and outdoor spaces play in a child's cognitive development? Is there really a link between better working memory and a green environment? We find out what one study has to say.
Dr. Mark Nieuwenhuizen loves greenery. Together with his colleagues at the Centre for Research in Environmental Epidemiology in Barcelona, he's published a study exploring how green environments affect the cognitive attention and working memories of children.
In this study we recruited just over 2,500 children in 36 different schools in Barcelona. For these children, during 1 year, we measured their cognitive development using some computer tests 4 times over the year. So in this case, we looked specifically at working memory and superior working memory, where they measured on the computer how well they were actually doing. At the same time, also we were measuring green space around the school using satellite images. And then we analyzed what is the relationship between the amount of green space and the cognitive development. When there is more green space around the schools, the cognitive development is better than in schools where there is less green space.
It's clearly a more pleasant place in which to learn, and the immediate benefits are obvious. But why is it that a green environment has such a positive effect on cognitive performance?
There are different theories, and one of the theories is that, we've lived for about 40,000 years in the jungle, and then only the last few hundred years we came out of the jungle, and now we live in a concrete jungle. We live in cities with very little green space often. And so our brains are not really adapted to this concrete. I mean, they struggle. The brains are under stress. I mean, they can't function that well.
People are increasingly living in cities, and that trend is set to accelerate over the next 20 years. So how much greenery do we need around us?
What we don't know exactly is what kind of type of greenness may be better. Is it just some trees around it, some shrubs, or is it some grass where the children play on? So that's what we need to determine in follow-up studies a bit more. What is it exactly, the type of green space and the amount of green space that's important.
More research needs to be done to follow up on the study, but its authors believe in any case more green spaces can only benefit cities.
What we could do is make the streets greener. I mean, take the asphalt out and put trees along the sides of the streets. Also use where there is some open space, put a park, put some trees. Every little bit actually helps.
How about breaking down all the walls to create a school without classrooms? Could learning and discipline work in such an open space? We go to Denmark to visit one school that is taking on the challenge.
Design and architecture are in many ways a unique part of Danish cultural heritage. Although from the outside it may look like an ordinary modern upper high school, inside it's a different story. Ørstad Gymnasium opened in 2007, has no walls, no classrooms and spaces that are only loosely defined by permeable borders.
What makes Ørstad Gymnasium unique is our building with the open learning environments and our use of ICT in teaching. You have to organize teaching where the students are active. And one way of forcing teachers to do that is by having a building where you can't have traditional teaching all the time. You have to do something different in this building.
At least a third of the lessons take place in the open spaces. These students are in the so-called group areas. Their psychology teacher has them working on different types of stress. Then, through a ball-throwing game, they share what they've learned.
I have to make my teaching much more differentiated and activated. And I have to structure it before I go into the class. You see, there will always be people passing by. There will be noise somewhere. So you have to be sure that they are doing what you want them to do.
The staircase is the focal point of the building and the symbol of the school. Here, students can chat, meet their friends, and get some exercise with the frequent up and down trips. 3 circular areas are dedicated to breaks and free time in between lessons, although students also use them as work areas.
I chose it because of, first of all, the study line psychology. I think that's really interesting. But when I came to visit the school, I also think the architecture and the way the school is built is very interesting, and the open groups and how we work is very interesting.
The students use only electronic teaching materials, and while they're working in groups, the teacher monitors each pupil's progress from the computer.
Sometimes they go over the edge and some make a bit too much noise, but that's why we do a lot of it over the internet and communicate over the internet, so we don't have to talk too much and talk over distances. So we keep the noise at a minimum, and it's usually not a problem. Yeah.
What What do you think of these fascinating schools? Do you think an exceptional architectural design can really make a difference to the way we learn? Don't forget, we are on social media. Get in touch.
Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.